You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Catch every UFC pay-per-view live in full HD at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, The Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. Join the Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
Hey, it's Hugh Hewitt, and when I want to know what's going on with the Cavs, the Browns, and the Tribe, I tune into Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
I thought I'd make you wait for a minute. Kind of like the Browns made you wait for, 15, 16 some odd years before showing up and playing some real football. I'm telling you, yesterday, I'm feeling good, although I don't know how I made it on the air. As you can hear, I'm hanging on to the thread of a voice that's left, so I apologize in advance. My voice is probably going to cut in and out several times during the show today. I had one incredibly hectic weekend wrestling all over the freaking tri-state area for the last several days, and then got back in and yesterday and then back here, but we're on the air. There was no way that we weren't coming on and locking and loading and launching this thing because as you heard me starting off there talking about excited yesterday, a lot of things. This is a big sports weekend. Mondays are busy enough as it is, and then this. But as I was saying, to circle back to setting that up, to wait that long, I sat yesterday with my son, who is as old as the New Browns franchise. Basically, what they are, he knows. He did not live for anything prior to Carmen Policy and Dwight Clark and all so on, etc., ad nauseum and nauseated and all that things that come with it. All that time, he's watched so much. I've always talked about how the kids, anybody who got into football, anybody who became a Browns fan after 1999, you guys don't even count. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's not like you didn't try to count. It's not like you didn't want to count. You have no clue what being a Browns fan is about or what it's like. And please don't take that the wrong way, because I'm not doing that in the bad way of you're not a fan. You have seen an imitation brand of football. You have seen a doppelganger, if you will, bizarro football, whatever you want to call it, for so long. And I mean, it wasn't just poor Cleveland feeling bad for yourself when you'd say only in Cleveland could we find new ways, invent new ways to lose games. That's the truth. I mean, it was a running joke that was reality at the same time, which makes the joke sting even more because you know that there's only a slight bit of sarcastic edge to it, and it's real. I mean, they wrote the book on how to write the book on losing over and over. And anyways, but so my son fits right in that age wheelhouse. Yesterday, and I can't lie, he probably looked over a time or two at the look of amazement. I mean, listen, I believe the Browns were improved this year. You guys know, you guys heard as we were predicting the season and stuff, but I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting on my couch yesterday. I think the text message from Jonathan Knight may have summed it up best. It was at some point when the score was, roughly around 21-3 or something like that. When did I take LSD before I started watching this game? Because I have no idea what's going on right now, man. And I'm like, I know. I'm telling you, my son is watching me. I would not be surprised if he doesn't tell people, man, I saw looks on my dad's face I didn't know were possible, man, because I sat there. And then, of course, it got fun near the end. But I'm telling you, you sat there for 3/4 of it going, is this really happening? Like, is this really happening right now? Not just winning the game, but, I mean, they're just slapping the Steelers around. I'm texting people, like, somebody tell me that, like, this isn't like this whole game is like I'm going to wake up and this did not happen. And all joking out of that aside, I mean, seriously, this is a team that you guys know just a few weeks back to start the season, the Steelers rolled out of the gates on the Browns. And I mean, even when the Browns stormed back in the second half, I mean, we're talking 30-27. We're talking high points, high scoring game. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, those guys sliced the Browns up just a month and a half ago. For the Browns to do what they did yesterday, to me, really made a statement. And I'm serious. I'm talking to all of you out there that it may have been. Jonathan Knight Friday said, Jerry, come next week, if the Browns win this game, there's going to be a whole lot more people on the bandwagon, and I think I'm buying in too. By the end of yesterday, he texted me, we're back and forth like, this is legit. Like, this is – I'm not sitting here saying that the Super Bowl parade should be planned now and all of that. I'm just saying this team is legit. And anybody that wasn't sure yet yesterday has to put the final seal on that. And I know – and we're going to do a lot of this. We got a lot of things to get into, a whole slate. I'll preview it in a minute. And I know we could sit here today and say that the Browns were also 3-2 through 5 games last season. But let me tell you right now, there's a huge difference. 3-2 after 5 games last year, you had just lost Brian Hoyer for the season. Hope was gone. Literally, it was, are we going to Jason Campbell or are we going back to Brandon Weeden again? I mean, there was a huge, huge difference in the makeup of the team, the design of the team, and, of course, the main position, the quarterback of the football team. And yesterday, once again, we'll get into it, but Brian Hoyer did not just manage the Browns to a victory yesterday. He made some plays. I'm telling you, I think there's only a handful of quarterbacks that would have hit Jordan. And you can say I get the cross-field floaty pass, but there is only a handful of quarterbacks that were going to hit Jordan Cameron in stride in that seam there with the go route heading up towards the end zone there, right over the outstretched fingertips of the defensive back where only Cameron could get it, and boom, to the house. Beautiful. One of the best passes I've seen him throw so far in his time. Right up there with that one last week where he stepped up, moved past the linebacker, steps up and finds Benjamin in the end zone. Just a great pass. But I see Charles in the chat room. Dan Wismar and I are going to talk about that a little bit later. Dan Wismar sent me a link from the New York Times. Bill Rhoden wrote an article today about how, as the Browns fans win a game like they did yesterday, Browns fans can truly start to believe in this team. The New York Times wrote an article today about that exact topic. We're going to talk more about that a little bit later on here in the show. Speaking of that, let's set the stage here before we get rolling. We have got a whole lot to get into. Obviously, we're all over the Browns game from all angles. John McMullen and Dan Wismar, not only are they both going to join us for other things I'll talk about in a second, but both of them chiming in their thoughts on the Browns from the national perspective, from the local perspective. John McMullen as well, going to talk not just Browns. We'll go around the entire slate of the NFL. I was texting him this morning. I said, I'll tell you, bro. I said, just between what the Browns did and Dallas going rogue in Seattle and taking out the 12th man, who saw that one coming there, man? I'll tell you. I believe a little more. I'm not saying Dallas is a Super Bowl team either, but I believe that there's a lot more reality. I thought maybe there was some smoke and mirrors there. DeMarco Murray obviously having that great start to the season. He kept that going, and they went and beat Seattle in Seattle. There's a difference between beating Seattle on the road and beating Seattle in Seattle. Very well done by the Cowboys. But I'm like, man, somebody has turned the NFL world upside down here this weekend. John McMullen, national NFL columnist. He's syndicated across the country. Looking forward to talking NFL with him here. How about Pacman Jones? We'll get into it later. Man, I don't remember too many of your teammates throwing you under the bus for, getting people shot and making it rain and all the ridiculousness that you involved yourself into. but we're throwing the kicker under the bus. Seriously, not that I expect anything less from a guy like that, but just completely threw Mike Nugent under the bus yesterday after that game. I mean, blatantly. Then was given a second chance to get out of it and say, hey, it was the heat of the moment, and he came right back with it again, man. I mean, some people would say, hey, more power to him, but no, I don't know about that, man. I mean, you don't just blatantly literally said everybody else did their job to win this game, which, by the way, let's not forget that your defense allowed this thing to be a 37-37 shootout. So let's not act like your defense put a shutout on the board and the kicker blew your game for you at the end of the game. You know, let's not do that. Let's keep it real here. 37-37. Your defense didn't exactly come up roses here either against the Carolina Panthers, but to throw your kicker under the bus, and you didn't even lose. It was a tie. I mean, granted, you didn't win the game, but it didn't cost you the game. It cost you a victory. You ended up with a tie, which keep an eye on that tie. Much like, remember that game in hand by the Asian, it's all going to come down to a couple games. That tie could come in because remember, when there's a tie, that's a half a game difference in a league that doesn't have half a games. That at the end of the season could perhaps be the half a game that separates Cincinnati from any of the teams, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore. You know, that half a game could be important. Keep an eye on that tie when you get down later on in the season as well. But we'll talk about all of that with John McMullen. Dan Wismar, he was in the house, in the dog pound yesterday. We'll talk to him about that, his thoughts on the Royals. Hey, speaking of before we go to break, anything? Playoffs rolling, and the Royals are rolling. First off, the other day, I wished we were on the air after the game the other night. It was the end of the week when they win the first one in extra innings again. I'm like, these guys won't stop. Not only won't they stop winning, they won't stop winning in extra innings. They did it again. And then they win the next one in the ninth inning. And I'm like, man, team of destiny. Yeah, we were having some fun with the Indian. That's what a team of destiny truly looks like when you're winning stuff like that. They're on their way halfway to a sweep. They haven't lost a game yet. They decided to get in the playoffs and just keep playing. And they're like, you know what? We're just going to keep playing, with our little on halfway to the World Series. And how about on the other side? And we'll talk about all this with Dan Wismar in a little bit. But how about with the home run, Colton Wong, with the home run. And yes, 5 out of 6 with the last at bat, Bruce. I mean, that's the definition of a team of destiny, man. And had me stuttering over my words here. Colton Wong with the home run not only wins the game and ties the NLCS at 1. Looks like they're going to buckle in for a good Sears stanza of that. But all the games and stuff in Cardinals history, I saw a couple. You know me, I love to find those little within the numbers of the numbers. 4th walk-off postseason homer. That's it in Cardinals history. There's only been 4 of them. Ozzie Smith in the 85 National League Championship Series. Jim Edmonds in the 04 NLCS. And David Freese with the Game 6 2011 World Series. We'll see you tomorrow night. The call that everybody remembers there. Those are the 3. So he put himself in some unique company there. Also, only the 4th second baseman in history to hit walk-off postseason October home runs. The other ones, Bill Mazeroski, Alfonso Soriano, Jeff Kent. Here's just a goofy one. The shortest postseason walk-off home run hitter ever. He ties Kirby Puckett, as both of them were only 5'9". But here's one that is the most interesting. And you know what? This could get interesting if destiny meets destiny, because you talk about the Royals and what they've been doing. How about the Cardinals? They hit a game-tying home run in the 7th inning. They hit a go-ahead home run in the 8th inning, and then another go-ahead home run in the 9th inning. No team has ever hit home runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings of any postseason game, let alone how that went down to tie it in the 7th, go up in the 8th, and then again in the 9th. So, man, that could be interesting if 2 teams of destiny clash and butt heads like that when you get to the World Series. But there's a series is tied over there. We'll talk about those with Dan Wismar. We'll get into some NCAA as well as the Buckeyes off this weekend, although they found a way to lose anyway. And I know you're probably thinking, J-Rock, what are you talking about? You're probably sleep deprived. No, they actually, what I'm referring to is in the polls, as you guys see, Mississippi State, the new number one football team. They beat the previous